When should I refinance? This is a question I get a lot lately, and it's usually around people that have maybe they bought a home in the last 6 months or the last year and the interest rate's higher, and they think that rates are going to come back down because, typically as inflation comes down, so would interest rates. So they're asking, well, when's the best time to refinance? Well, there's a couple things to look at, okay? Because as interest rates come down, are you going to want to pay closing costs every time? Because if it costs you X amount of dollars for closing costs and you're refinancing every 6 months, you want to make sure that you're looking at what that break-even point is for what happens with that interest rate. Now, prior to all the volatility and the pandemic and everything like that, there used to be some margins, quite a bit of margins between interest rates. So if you qualified for the lowest interest rate with paying, say, a discount point, you might be able to do a little higher interest rate that had no discount point. You might be able to do a higher interest rate than that and even get a credit to help with those closing costs. Well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't I take the lowest rate available? Well, if you're in an environment where rates are trending down, you just never know where the bottom is at. And you don't want to pay those full-on closing costs every time that you refinance. So it might make sense to refinance as it's coming down. Maybe you're going to drop a half a percentage point. Does that make sense if the break-even point is 2 years and the projections are that interest rates will come down faster than that? It might be better to take a little bit higher interest rate or wait till rates go down maybe 0.25%, and then you can basically evaluate and see if it makes sense to do a low closing cost loan or pay discount points, whatever the case may be. So things are going to be ever changing here as we progress through the next couple years. So we'll always keep in touch with kind of what the experts are saying and kind of have an idea on what's going to happen with the projections for interest rates, but that's how we help you navigate that. So break-even point is a big thing that you want to look at, is what's it costing me. As an example, I actually refinanced twice in 2020 because I just saw the opportunity when rates had dropped. I refinanced. I didn't pay a ton of closing costs at that point, but then I saw rates continue to drop. And so then I found an interest rate that I really liked that I was willing to pay a little extra for to get. And so I just knew that I was going to be in that loan for quite some time. So that's one reason, or one thing that you look at when you're looking at when I should refinance. Another thing might be maybe you even have a lower interest rate, but you're just feeling overwhelmed with the cost of living these days because of inflation, and you have credit card debt and you have car loans and you have all these things going on in your life, and it's just kind of being overwhelming for you. In some cases, it might make sense to refinance, do a cash out refinance and do a full-on debt consolidation. Because if you can look at your monthly cash flow and you can free up $300 a month, $500 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever it may be, that might make sense for you. Even if the interest rate is going up, you want to look at it as a full-on whole scenario. But as you're paying that down, essentially you can take that extra money that you're saving, you can just apply it towards a loan, and you could potentially pay less interest that way as well. So, but most people are looking at it to get a little freedom out from under their debt. So that would be one thing that I'd recommend looking at. If you are going to do that, I would also take that as an opportunity to look inside yourself and see, where am I spending my money? Am I going to the coffee shop every day and buying a $5 coffee? If we're spending kind of, we're used to what we were doing before the cost of living kind of increased, we might have to just adjust our budget a little bit so we don't end up in the same predicament a couple of years down the road. So those are some things that we look at. Another reason somebody might refinance is they want to do some updates to their house. Maybe they want to finish their basement. Maybe they want to just do some updates because they're going to sell their house in a couple of years. These are all reasons to look into either a home equity line or a refinance. And so something that you can talk to a banking expert or a mortgage loan officer about, and they can help you through that, because everybody's situation is different. There is not a one-size-fits-all option for you. Everybody's in a different situation, so it's good to find out your option specifically. But these are just a few things that I want to talk about. I've had these conversations a lot lately, and every conversation is different, which is very important. So if you need anything, feel free to reach out.